Chung Sure, can you like me one more time? My ex, Sue Wan, blocked my path with red eyes. Before I could speak, a slender but strong hand pulled me behind her. My aloof and cool senior, Lin Wei, had eyes colder than ice at this moment. Junior, what do you think you're doing to my boyfriend? The next second, she dragged me behind a tree and kissed me fiercely, declaring domineeringly in my ear, Chung Sure, you are mine. I was stunned. What happened to the aloof and cool campus belle? This was clearly my sweet wife from home. Chung Sure, do you think I Sue Wan am that easy to pursue? Does any guy who shows me some attention have to be accepted? My friend is having a birthday, and I saw a bag I liked. It's only a few tens of thousands. You told me you don't have money? Then what gives you the right to say you like me? If you're not sincere, then don't bother me. Sue Wan's voice was like a poison-laced ice pick, stabbing my heart again and again. I stood downstairs from the girls' dormitory, still holding the packed late-night snack she loved. The coming and going of people around me, their pointing and staring, made me wish the ground would swallow me whole. Years of pursuit, years of caution, years of being at her beck and call, all in exchange for a single sentence. Not sincere enough. So, my affection had a price tag. I stood there like a fool for a long time, until the food in my hands was completely cold. I don't know how I left. My mind was buzzing, filled with Sue Wan's disdainful face. It started to rain. Bean-sized raindrops smashed down, quickly soaking me to the bone. Good. Let the cold sober me up. I wandered aimlessly on campus. Rainwater trickled down my hair and into my eyes, stinging painfully. I was a joke, a self-important, pathetic admirer. At a corner, lost in thought, I wasn't watching where I was going and slammed into someone. I'm sorry. I apologized subconsciously and looked up. I had run into a girl. She was holding a transparent umbrella, and under it was a cold and beautiful face. It was Lin Wei, a goddess-like figure at our school, the belle and top student of the computer science department, the legendary aloof and cool senior. She was 2 years ahead of me. Usually, she was just a legend on campus. I had barely seen her in person. At this moment, she stood before me, separated by the curtain of rain, quietly looking at me. Her gaze was placid, without surprise or disgust, as if I were just a tree on the roadside, drenched by the rain. I was extremely embarrassed, soaked as if I had just been fished out of the water, my hair plastered messily to my face, a complete wreck. I'm sorry, senior, I wasn't looking. I said it again, preparing to walk around her. The moment I lifted my foot, I felt my pocket. Empty. My mind went blank with a boom. My key. My dorm key. I had casually put in my jacket pocket earlier to check Sue Wan's message on my phone. That pocket was very shallow. I whipped my head around, looking back the way I came. The rain was so heavy, the streetlights so dim. Where could I possibly find it? To make matters worse, my roommate was out with his girlfriend tonight, staying off campus, and wouldn't be back at all. Tonight, I had no way to get back. A wave of despair washed over me. The old wound hadn't healed, and a new blow had arrived. I stood in the rain like a stray dog abandoned by the world. Can't find it, a cool, clear voice asked. I looked up and saw Lin Wei still standing there. Her transparent umbrella was tilted slightly in my direction, though it wasn't much help. I gave a bitter smile and shook my head. Can't get back to your dorm? She asked again. I nodded, my voice thick with the dampness of the rain. Yeah, my roommate's not here. I thought she would say something like, that's unfortunate, and then turn and leave. After all, we didn't know each other. We were just strangers who had crossed paths. She had no reason to help me. However, she just looked at me in silence for a few seconds, and then said something that, to this day, I still find incredible. I live nearby. She paused, her tone even. Come with me. I was stunned. I wondered if the rain had caused me to hallucinate. Senior Lin Wei, want to take me home? Senior, isn't this inappropriate? I stammered. I could just spend the night at an internet cafe. Internet cafes are noisy, she said succinctly. Then I'll go to a hotel. A waste of money. She always seemed to have a way of cutting off all my retreats with a single sentence. The rain fell harder, and I started to shiver from the cold. Lin Wei glanced at me, her brow furrowing almost imperceptibly. She didn't say anything more, just turned and walked towards the school gate. After 2 steps, she stopped and looked back at me. Her gaze seemed to say, "Follow me." As if possessed, I moved my legs, following behind an almost complete stranger, a legendary campus belle senior, on the way to her home. This plot development was too surreal. Lin Wei's home was in a high-end residential complex near the school with tight security. She swiped a key card and let me into the elevator. The elevator walls were polished like mirrors. I saw my own wretched state, and then I looked at her, so fresh and clean beside me. We were worlds apart. I wished I could find a hole to crawl into. Her door had a keypad lock. With a beep, it opened. A faint, pleasant fragrance wafted out. I stood at the entrance, the water dripping from me, leaving 2 awkward footprints on the floor. "Change your shoes." She took a pair of men's slippers from the shoe cabinet and placed them at my feet. They were new. I awkwardly put them on and followed her in. The apartment wasn't large, but it was very tidy, decorated in a cool, minimalist Nordic style with a black, white, and gray color palette, just like her personality. "The bathroom's over there. Go take a hot shower so you don't catch a cold." She pointed in a direction. "My clothes." "There's a bath towel in the cabinet. Worry about that after your shower." I felt like a marionette, doing whatever she said, my mind having completely ceased to think. As the hot water showered down on my head, I finally felt myself coming back to life. The bathroom carried the same scent she did, the fragrance of some botanical body wash. I showered quickly, wrapped the bath towel around my waist, and hesitantly stepped out. On the living room sofa lay a neatly folded set of clothes. A large white t-shirt and a pair of gray athletic shorts. "They're mine, never worn. You can make do with them for now." Lin Wei's voice came from the kitchen. I walked over and saw her boiling water. "Senior, thank you so much. I put them on." She cut me off, her eyes glancing at my bare torso before quickly averting her gaze. My face flushed, and I rushed back to the bathroom to change. The t-shirt was very large, hanging loosely on my frame, and smelled pleasantly of laundry detergent. When I came out, she had already placed a cup of ginger tea on the coffee table. "Drink it." It was a command, but for some reason, I didn't mind it at all. I held the cup, its warmth seeping from my palms into my heart. That, along with the spicy ginger, chased away the last bit of chill in my body. "Senior, I could sleep on the sofa tonight. I'll leave first thing in the morning," I whispered, afraid of causing her any more trouble. She just grunted, and pointed to the sofa. "Blankets in the closet. Get it yourself." With that, she turned and went back into her room, closing the door behind her. Not a single extra word was spoken the entire time. I was left alone in the living room. I lay on the soft sofa, under a blanket that smelled of sunshine, listening to the pitter-patter of rain outside and the almost imperceptible sounds from the adjacent room. None of it felt real. A few hours ago, I had been heartbroken and in despair over Suwon. Now, I was lying on the sofa of the aloof campus belle, Senior Lin Wei. Life's highs and lows were a little too intense. I closed my eyes, and Suwon's face appeared before me. A bag that isn't worth tens of thousands isn't sincere. My chest still ached, a sharp needle-like pain, but strangely, it didn't seem to hurt quite as much. Perhaps the ginger tea was too warm, or the blanket was too soft. Or perhaps it was her cool silhouette that had given me an unexpected shred of comfort. I rolled over, burying my face in the pillow. Whatever. I just sleep first and figured out later. The sofa was surprisingly comfortable, but I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. My thoughts were a total mess. One moment, I'd see Suwon's contemptuous face. The next, Senior Lin Wei's cool profile. I went over my efforts of the past few years again and again, feeling like a stupid, stubborn donkey chasing a carrot on a stick. Suwon said she liked concerts, so I'd queue all night to get her tickets. She said she wanted that trending cake from the west side of town, so I'd take a 2-hour subway ride to buy it, and the cream would be nearly melted by the time I got back. She said her computer was broken, and without a second thought, I'd carry her computer tower across most of the campus to get it fixed for her. I thought that if I just tried hard enough, if I was good enough to her, one day she'd be moved by me. It turns out the only one I moved was myself. In her eyes, everything I did was probably worth less than the tag on a designer bag. There was a tight, stuffy ache in my chest. I stared at the ceiling with my eyes open. The living room lights were off, with only the faint glow from outside filtering in. Time ticked by. I could hear the second hand of the wall, clock moving. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Just as I was getting drowsy and about to fall asleep, I suddenly heard a soft click. It was the sound of the bedroom door opening. I was instantly wide awake, my entire body frozen stiff. Senior, why did she come out? Does she want some water? Or does she think it's inconvenient for me to sleep here and wants to kick me out? I held my breath, not daring to move an inch. I even closed my eyes, pretending to be fast asleep. The footsteps were very light, slowly approaching me. My heart started to race uncontrollably, thumping like a drum. Bang, bang, bang. The footsteps stopped beside the sofa. I could feel a gaze fall upon me. What should I do? What should I do? What is she going to do? I was so nervous my palms started to sweat. Time seemed to stretch, each second as agonizing as a century. Just as I was about to give in and wake up, something soft suddenly pressed against my back. Then, a pair of arms wrapped around my waist. I froze instantly, as if struck by lightning. Warm breath tickled my neck. A fluffy head nuzzled against my back, then found a comfortable spot to rest in the crook of my shoulder. What is this situation? Senior Lin Wei is hugging me? My mind went blank, completely unable to process the current information. The legendary Ice Queen of the campus, who supposedly left a trail of desolation in her wake, was now hugging me from behind like a cat. Her body was soft and warm. I could feel it clearly through my thin t-shirt. And that faint, pleasant scent of hers now lingered more clearly at the tip of my nose. My body was as stiff as an iron board. I didn't even dare to breathe. Cuddle. A mumbled, sleepy voice came from beside my ear. It was soft and sweet, as if she were whining affectionately. I suspected there was something wrong with my ears. Was that Lin Wei's voice? You have got to be kidding me. Usually when she spoke, her tone was so cold it could make you shiver. But this voice, it was clearly coming from behind me. Stiffly, bit by bit, I turned my head and saw, out of the corner of my eye, the face resting on my shoulder. It really was Lin Wei. Her eyes were closed, her long eyelashes casting a small shadow in the dim light. Her lips were slightly pouted, her face peaceful in sleep. Where was the slightest trace of her cold, daytime demeanor? This was clearly a defenseless young girl. A thought flashed through my mind like lightning. Sleepwalking. Could my senior be sleepwalking? Other than that, I couldn't think of any other reasonable explanation. Confirming this suspicion, instead of feeling relieved, I became even more nervous. What should I do now? Push her away? What if I startle her awake? How awkward would that be? How would the two of us face each other tomorrow? Not push her away, just let her sleep while hugging me like this? A guy and a girl. Although I'm the passive one here, if word of this got out, my reputation would be ruined forever. What's more, she's Lin Wei. As I was warring with myself, she seemed to find the position uncomfortable and shifted again. Her arms tightened, her entire body pressing almost completely against my back. I could feel her steady heartbeat thumping against my back, one beat at a time, through 2 layers of cloth. But my own heart was beating faster and faster, about to leap out of my throat. I had never been this intimate with any girl before. In all those years I pursued Su Wan, I never even touched her hand. But now, I took a deep breath and told myself to calm down. Cheng Shi, you're a man. You have to remain composed. Senior is sleepwalking. She doesn't know anything. You can't have any indecent thoughts. Right, just like that. I tried to relax my stiff body, lying perfectly still, playing the part of qualified pillow. Time passed, second by second, minute by minute. The initial nervousness and awkwardness were gradually replaced by a strange feeling. Her body heat, her breath, her pleasant scent. It all made me feel very at ease. The heart that had been stung by Su Wan seemed to be gently soothed by this sudden embrace. I never knew a person's hug could hold so much power. I don't know how much time passed, but I actually fell asleep just like that. The next day, I woke up to the aroma of food. My eyes snapped open, and my first reaction was to look beside me. Empty. Lin Wei was gone. I touched my waist. The sensation of her arms wrapped around it seemed to linger. Everything last night wasn't a dream. I sat up and saw a slipper on the rug next to the sofa that didn't belong to me. It was Lin Wei's. It seems she really did sleepwalk here last night, hugged me, and then returned to her room at some point, even losing a slipper in the process. I picked up the pink, fluffy slipper and couldn't help but feel a little amused. I really couldn't tell that the aloof school beauty's slippers were such a cute style. Awake. At the kitchen door, Lin Wei stood there holding a plate. She had changed into a tracksuit, her hair tied in a ponytail, looking refreshed and capable. Her face still wore that expressionless look, as if nothing happened last night. Say, Senior, good morning. I felt a little guilty, my eyes darting around, not daring to look at her. Come and eat breakfast. She placed the plate on the dining table. It was fried eggs and toast. She had also prepared a portion for herself and sat opposite me, eating quietly. I secretly observed her, trying to read something from her face. But there was nothing. Did she really not remember anything from last night? That's good too. Saves the awkwardness. I picked up the toast and took a bite. Senior, thank you for last night. I still felt I should thank her. She took a sip of milk and responded faintly. I'll wash the clothes later, and then I'll go back. Is the dormitory door open? She asked. Huh? Oh, I'll call my roommate and ask. Only then did I remember that I hadn't contacted my roommate yet. I took out my phone and dialed his number. As it turned out, my roommate was wailing on the other end, saying his girlfriend had acute gastroenteritis and he had to stay with her at the hospital and probably wouldn't be back today. I hung up the phone, my expression a little crestfallen. Lin Wei looked up at me. Can't go back. I nodded awkwardly. He might not be back until tonight. This meant that I had to stay here for at least another day. I felt a little embarrassed. After all, a man and a woman alone, it always felt inconvenient. Senior, why don't I just eat your food? She interrupted me again. Wash the dishes when you're done. Her tone was very natural, as if I wasn't a stranger staying over, but a roommate who had lived here for a long time. I was stunned for a moment, then and lowered my head to continue gnawing on the toast. That little bit of unease in my heart was actually dispelled by her single sentence. After breakfast, I took the initiative to do the dishes. When I came out of the kitchen, Lin Wei had already changed her clothes and was ready to go out. I'm going to the library. I won't be back for lunch. There's food in the fridge. You can cook for yourself. The door has a keypad lock. I'll send the code to your phone. She explained everything clearly and methodically while changing her shoes. I stood beside her like a soldier awaiting orders. Got it, Senior. She nodded, opened the door, and walked out. The moment the door closed, I was the only one left in the whole house again. I looked at this unfamiliar environment, smelled the lingering scent of her in the air, and felt a very strange sensation. Chung Shi, an unremarkable university student, was picked up and taken home by the aloof campus belle after a failed confession. Then, last night, I was held all night by her while she was sleepwalking. Now, I have the code to her home and can come and go as I please. What is this? Is it fate or a disastrous fate? I shook my head, deciding not to think about it so much. Anyway, for the time being, it seems I have an extra home. My roommate's girlfriend was quite sick and didn't get better for several days. So, I temporarily stayed at Lin Wei's house with a clear conscience. During the day, she would go to the library or to class, and I would stay at home. At first, I felt a little restrained, not knowing what to do with my hands and feet. Later, I slowly discovered that although Lin Wei was a person of few words, she didn't give off a sense of pressure. She seemed to treat me like air, completely indifferent to my existence. So I gradually relaxed. I'm not the kind of person who can stay idle. Looking at the clean and tidy house, I always felt that I should do something. So I started to take the initiative to do housework. After she went out in the morning, I would clean the house, mopping the floor until it shone. Seeing that she wasn't coming back for lunch, I would make something simple for myself to eat. In the evening, I would calculate the time of her return and prepare dinner in advance. I learned my cooking skills from my mom. Although not comparable to a professional chef, I have no problem making a few home-cooked dishes. The first day, I made dinner and waited for her to come back. I was quite apprehensive. She looked at the table of 3 dishes and 1 soup and was stunned for several seconds. Her face still showed no expression. She just glanced at me. Senior, I saw there were vegetables in the fridge, so I just made a little something, I explained nervously. She didn't speak, sat down silently, picked up her chopsticks, and took a bite. Then, she took a second bite and a third. Although she never once praised it as delicious from beginning to end, that night, she ate a whole bowl of rice, leaving nothing behind. From then on, cooking became my exclusive task. She also seemed to tacitly approve of this arrangement. Every night, when she came back, I would open the door and say, "Senior, you're back." She would reply with a soft, change her shoes, wash her hands, and then sit down at the dining table to eat. We rarely talked during meals, usually eating in silence. But this silence wasn't awkward. Instead, it carried a strange sense of warmth. As if we've been living like this for a long time. I realized that Lin Wei wasn't at all like the ethereal, untouchable figure from the rumors. She would casually drape the clothes she had taken off over the chair instead of immediately putting them in the laundry basket. She liked a specific brand of yogurt and always kept several rows stocked in the fridge. When she read, she would unconsciously bite her lip. These little details made her seem less like the unattainable campus belle senior, and more like an ordinary girl with flesh and blood, who got tired and sometimes slacked off. Somewhat cute girl. That night, she came back especially late. I reheated the food again and again. It was almost 10 o'clock when I finally heard the sound of the door unlocking. She walked in, looking pale and utterly exhausted. "Senior, are you okay?" I went up to her. "I'm fine. There was a problem with the project, and the meeting ran late." Her voice was even a little hoarse. "Come eat. I've kept it warm for you." She shook her head. "No appetite. I'll take a shower first." She went into the bathroom, and soon the sound of running water could be heard. I looked at the untouched food on the table, feeling a bit uneasy inside. Coming back this late? She must be completely worn out. When she came out of the bathroom, she was wearing pajamas, her hair wrapped in a towel, still dripping. She walked to the sofa and sank into it, not moving at all. I noticed she was still holding a thick professional book in her hand, but she was just staring blankly at one page, not turning it at all. I knew she was so tired that she had zoned out. The living room was quiet, with only the sound of water dripping from her hair onto the floor. Drip, drip. As I looked at her, my heart inexplicably softened. The usually cool, strong, and capable senior now seemed somewhat fragile. I hesitated for a moment, but still walked over. "Senior, if you don't dry your hair, you'll get a headache." She didn't seem to hear, still maintaining her posture. I called her again. Only then did she slowly turn her head and look at me. Under the light, her eyes were bright but unfocused, as if veiled in a mist. She just looked at me like that for a long while. Then she spoke, her voice soft, carrying a trace of dependence she herself hadn't even noticed. "Aisher, help me dry my hair." She called me Aisher, not Chungshur, not hey, but Aisher, intimate and natural. My heart skipped a beat at that moment. "Okay," I agreed almost immediately. I took the hairdryer from a bathroom and plugged it in. Walking behind the sofa, I took a deep breath and reached out to untie the towel on her head. Her long, dark, silky hair cascaded down like a waterfall, carrying the damp moisture and the fresh scent of shower gel. My hands trembled slightly. This was the first time I had ever dried a girl's hair. I turned on the hairdryer, set it to the gentlest setting, and warm air blew out with a hum. With one hand holding the hairdryer, I carefully reached into her hair with the other, gently combing through it. Her hair was so soft, so smooth, like the finest silk. My fingertips accidentally brushed against her scalp, and her body trembled slightly. I immediately grew nervous. "Senior, was it too hot?" "No." Her eyes were closed, and her voice was muffled. Relieved, I continued more gently. The entire living room was filled only with the hum of the hairdryer. I could smell the faint fragrance from her hair, mingling with the warm air, lingering around me. The atmosphere was quiet and ambiguous. She completely relaxed, leaning her entire back against the sofa, her head tilted back slightly, resting right beside my hand. I could feel her trust and dependence. This feeling was strange. It made me feel needed, completely different from the feeling I had when chasing Suwon, where I desperately wanted to prove myself. Back then, everything I did had a purpose. I wanted her to see my good side, to accept me. But now I was doing this for Lin Wei without any purpose. I just saw that she was tired and wanted to make her more comfortable. It was that simple. After about 10 minutes, her hair was finally dry. Her hair was fluffy and soft, feeling especially nice to the touch. I turned off the hairdryer, and the room instantly fell silent. "All done, Senior," I said softly. She didn't move immediately. After a while, she opened her eyes. Our gazes met unexpectedly on the black television screen behind the sofa. In the reflection, I stood behind her, my hands still resting in her hair. She sat in front of me, tilting her head slightly to look up at me. Our eyes locked. In her dark pupils, I saw my own reflection. My heart began to race uncontrollably again. I quickly withdrew my hand and scratched my head somewhat awkwardly. You should get some rest, Senior." She hummed in response, stood up from the sofa, and walked toward the bedroom. At the doorway, she paused, glanced back at me, and called out, "Sure. Thank you." With that, she entered her room and closed the door. I stood there, touching my flushed cheeks. A voice inside me whispered, "Chung, sure, something seems off about you. Your feelings for this aloof Senior no longer seem like just gratitude and respect." That night I dreamed. My dreams were filled with her soft hair and the gentle sound of her voice calling me Asher. After staying at Lin Wei's place for over a week, my unreliable roommate finally returned. I had no choice but to move back to the dorm. To be honest, I felt a bit unsettled inside. On the day I moved out, Lin Wei happened to be home. I folded the blankets and put them back in a cabinet, cleaned up everything I had used, and placed her house key on the coffee table. "Senior, I'll be leaving now. Thank you so much for everything these past few days." Standing at the door, I bid her farewell earnestly. She leaned against the sofa, holding a book. Hearing my words, she lifted her eyelids to glance at me. It was the same familiar, indifferent monosyllable. I felt a slight pang of disappointment. I had hoped she might say a few more words like goodbye or take care on the way, but there was nothing. Well, it made sense. I was just an unexpected intruder or stranger. Now that the unexpected had ended, our lives were returning to normal. That was how it should be. I smiled self-deprecatingly and pulled open the door. "Wait," her voice came from behind me. My heart leaped, and I turned around abruptly. "Senior, what is it?" She stood up from the sofa, walked over to me, and pressed the key back into my hand. "Keep it." I was stunned, but I've already moved back. "Come over for meals whenever you want in the future," she said, looking at me seriously. The passcode hasn't changed. My heart felt as if something had gently bumped into it. What did she mean by this? Was it just a polite gesture, or did she genuinely want me to come back? "Senior, go now." She didn't give me a chance to ask further, turning back to the living room and picking up her book again. Leaving me alone at the door, clutching the key that still carried her warmth, my emotions in turmoil. Back in the dorm, the familiar smell of instant noodles and dirty socks hit me. My roommate was wearing headphones and playing games, his keyboard clattering loudly. Seeing me return, he took off his headphones and leaned in with a gossipy expression. "Not bad, Chung Sure. I heard you got rejected by Sue Won recently." My expression stiffened. "But it's fine, buddy." He patted my shoulder. "Out with the old, in with the new. I heard you've been getting pretty close to Lin Wei, the ice queen of the computer science department." "Who told you that?" I was startled. "It's all over the campus forum. Someone took a photo of you two entering the same neighborhood one after the other, and others say they saw you leaving her place." My scalp tingled. Don't these people have anything better to do? Don't talk nonsense. I just stayed at her place for a few days. Stayed. My roommate's eyes widened like copper bells. A guy and a girl, alone together? Chung Sure, be honest. Are you two? Ha ha. Get lost. I push him away irritably. We're completely innocent. Senior just took pity on me and let me stay for a night. Well, a few nights. Yeah, right. My roommate Warren, I know what's up expression. That's Lin Wei we're talking about. How many rich kids have tried to invite her to dinner and failed? And she let you stay? There's definitely something going on. I couldn't be bothered to explain. In the days that followed, life seemed to return to normal. I attended classes, went to the cafeteria, and carried on with my routine. But whenever I ate the greasy cafeteria food, I couldn't help but remember the quiet meals we shared at Lin Wei's place. At night, lying on the hard dorm bed, I often recalled her soft sofa and that unexpected, warm embrace. I tried to stop myself from thinking about her, but her image kept surfacing in my mind unbidden. I texted her a few times on WeChat. Senior, have you been busy lately? She replied, not too bad. Have you eaten? She replied, I've eaten. Any plans for the weekend? She replied, reading. The conversation was excruciatingly brief. Every time, I felt like I had killed the conversation. Gradually, I didn't dare to disturb her so easily anymore. Perhaps those few days of living together were really just a simple act of kindness to her. It was me who was overthinking things. The final exams ended, and summer vacation arrived. I bought a train ticket home. Before I left, I hesitated for a long time before finally sending her a WeChat message. Senior, I'm heading home. Have a great vacation. After a long time, she replied with a single word. Looking at that, the last bit of hope in my heart was extinguished. Oh well, so be it. Back home, my mom cooked all sorts of delicious food for me every day. But I always felt like something was missing. I started having insomnia. The moment I closed my eyes, all I could see, I realized I had truly fallen for her. I'd fallen in love with Lin Wei. This realization made me both panicked and excited. Chung Shi, a poor student who had just been rejected by a gold digger, had actually fallen for the dream girl of all the guys in school, the unattainable senior, Lin Wei. Isn't this a case of a toad wanting to eat swan meat? I told myself over and over again, stop dreaming. It's impossible. But the little flame in my heart just couldn't be extinguished. After staying home for half a month, I felt like I was about to grow mold. Every day, aside from eating and sleeping, I would just stare at my phone, endlessly scrolling through the pitifully short chat history between Lin Wei and me. Just as I was about to give up struggling and accept reality, my phone suddenly rang. The caller ID showed an unfamiliar local number. I picked it up. Hello. There was silence on the other end of the line, only the sound of faint breathing. Hello. Who is this? I'm hanging up if you don't say anything. I was getting a little impatient. Sure. A cool, distant voice, so familiar it was etched into my very bones, came from the receiver. I shot up from my chair with a whoosh. It was Lin Wei. How did she get my phone number? No, wait, why would she be calling me? Say. Senior, my voice was trembling. What's wrong? Did something happen? I asked nervously. Why would she suddenly call me? Could she be in some kind of trouble? No. Then you. On the other end, she fell silent again. I gripped my phone, my heart in my throat. Just when I thought she was about to hang up, she spoke again, her voice low, laced with a trace of confusion and grievance I had never heard before. Why haven't you come back to school yet? I was stunned. Huh, I said. She seemed a little impatient, but was trying to restrain it. Why aren't you back yet? I was even more confused and subconsciously glanced at the calendar. Senior, the semester hasn't started yet. It's only mid-July. There's still a month and a half until school starts in September. The other end of the line fell into a long silence again. I could even picture her frowning at this moment. I was at a loss and asked cautiously, Senior, is there something you need me for? Another bout of silence, so long that I thought the call had dropped. Then I heard her say something in a voice so low it was almost inaudible. Those words exploded in my mind like a clap of thunder. She said, but I miss you. My mind instantly went blank. What did she say? She misses me. Lin Wei misses me. I felt like my heart was about to leap out of my chest. Immediately after, she asked in a small voice, with a tone that was almost a plea and held a hint of imperceptible vulnerability. Can't you come back sooner? In that instant, all reason, all self-pity, all impossibility was thrown to the wind. I practically roared. Yes, I'll be right back. I jumped up on the spot and paced around my room, looking for my ID card while searching on my phone for the earliest train ticket back to school. Hearing the commotion, my mom pushed the door open and looked at me in alarm. Son, what are you doing? Have you gone mad? Mom, there's an emergency at school. It's incredibly urgent. I have to go back right away. I babbled nonsense as I haphazardly stuffed clothes into my backpack. There was only one thought in my head. She misses me. She wants me to go back sooner. I had to see her. Right now. I couldn't wait another second. I bought a ticket for the earliest high-speed train the next day. I didn't sleep all night. Lin Wei's words, but I miss you, kept replaying in my mind. Her soft, plaintive tone was like a feather scratching at the tip of my heart. One moment I thought I was dreaming, The next, I was laughing out loud like an idiot. My mom watched me from the side, looking at me as if I were a moron. Sure, be honest with Mom. Did you get into some trouble at school? Or did you get tricked into a pyramid scheme? No. I waved my hands, still grinning foolishly. Mom, it's something wonderful. My dad was calmer. He handed me a bank card. Take this. Travel with a full purse. Don't shortchange yourself when you're out there, and don't shortchange. The young lady. I froze. Since when did my dad have such sharp eyes? I gave a little chuckle, neither confirming nor denying, and stuffed the card into my pocket. The train ride was over 10 hours, but I didn't feel tired at all. On the contrary, I was full of energy. After getting off the train, I took a taxi straight back to the school. Standing at the gate of Lin Wei's residential complex, I finally started to feel nervous. I'd rushed back so impulsively. What would her reaction be? What if she had just said it casually yesterday, or maybe she was drunk? Wouldn't that be incredibly awkward for me? I took a deep breath, dragged my suitcase, and walked to her door. I raised my hand, then lowered it again. My heart was pounding. Forget it. I'm already here. Might as well face the music. I summoned my courage and rang the doorbell. After a few seconds, there was no sound from inside. Was she not home? I rang it again. Still no response. My heart sank, and a wave of disappointment washed over me. Could she have gone out? I took out my phone to call her, but then I remembered I had the code to her place. After a moment of hesitation, I placed my finger on a keypad lock. I entered the sequence of numbers I knew by heart. With a beep, the door unlocked. I pushed the door open and peeked inside. The room was silent. The living room curtains were drawn, and the light was dim. Senior, I called out softly. No one answered. I changed into slippers and dragged my suitcase inside. Then I saw a huddled figure on the sofa. It was Lin Wei. She was in her pajamas, curled up on the sofa under a thin blanket, seemingly asleep. On the coffee table was an empty yogurt container and an open book. It looked like she had been reading here and had fallen asleep. I lightened my steps and walked to the side of the sofa. She was sleeping soundly, her breathing even. Her long eyelashes were cast down, creating little fan-like shadows on her face. Perhaps because of the dim light, I thought her face looked a bit pale, her lips lacking color. I couldn't help but reach out, wanting to feel her forehead. Just as my fingertips were about to touch her skin, her eyelashes fluttered, and she slowly opened her eyes. Our eyes met. Her gaze was still hazy, as if she wasn't fully awake. She looked at me for several seconds, seemingly trying to determine if she was dreaming. Ashy, she said, her voice soft and hoarse. Yeah, it's me. I quickly pulled my hand back and gave a slightly awkward smile. I'm back. She didn't speak, just stared at me fixedly. Then, without any warning, the rims of her eyes began to turn red, bit by bit. I panicked instantly. Senior, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? I crouched down and asked anxiously. She still didn't say anything, just looked at me as her eyes grew misty, until the moisture gathered into a tear and slid down her cheek. I was completely dumbfounded. What was happening? The cool and aloof senior was crying right in front of me. I was at a loss for what to do. I wanted to wipe her tears away, but it didn't feel appropriate. Senior, please don't cry. What on earth is wrong? Did someone bully you? She shook her head, sniffled, and then, with the hand that didn't have a drip in it, she grabbed the corner of my shirt. Her grip was weak but tight. I thought, you weren't coming back. She spoke, her voice thick with nasality, as pitiful as a lost child who couldn't find her way home. My heart felt as if it were being squeezed tightly by a hand, aching and sore. How could that be? I said quickly. The moment you called me, I bought a ticket and came back. I thought you were annoyed with me. She looked down, her voice small. When I called you, you didn't pick up right away. I thought you were ignoring me. Only then did I remember. When she first called, I had assumed it was a spam call, and my attitude hadn't been very good. No, I explained hurriedly. I didn't know it was you. If I had known it was you, I would have answered instantly. She looked up, her eyes red, and looked at me. Really? Really? I raised 3 fingers, just short of swearing to the heavens. More real than pure gold. Seeing my earnest declaration, she finally let out a puff and laughed. Though tears still stained her face, her smile was like the sun breaking through the clouds after rain, instantly brightening the entire room. It brightened my heart, too. How could you be so silly? She said softly. I'm happy to be silly for you. I blurted out. I regretted it as soon as I said it. The words were too flippant. A faint blush appeared on Lin Wei's cheeks. She turned her head away and let go of the corner of my shirt. The atmosphere suddenly became a bit delicate. I cleared my throat and changed the subject. Senior, you haven't eaten yet, have you? Is there anything in the fridge? I'll go cook. She answered softly. I stood up, ready to show off my skills in the kitchen, when she called out to me again. Ashy. I turned back. She sat on the sofa, looking up at me with sparkling eyes. Welcome home. Just 4 simple words. Yet they made me feel that all my rushing and all my anxiety on the journey here had received the most perfect answer in this moment. I grinned, smiling like a big fool. You got it. That night, I cooked a huge spread of dishes. Lin Wei's appetite was surprisingly good. She ate a bowl and a half of rice. After dinner, the two of us sat side by side on the sofa, watching a boring romance movie. Neither of us spoke, but we both knew that some things were already different. Halfway through the movie, the male lead was in the middle of a heartfelt confession to the female lead. I could feel my palms sweating. The time had come. Go for it, Chung Shi. I took a deep breath and turned to look at Lin Wei. She happened to turn her head to look at me at the same moment. Senior, Ashy, we both spoke at the same time, and then we both stopped at the same time. You go first, we said in unison once again. I couldn't help but laugh. Senior, you go ahead. She pressed her lips together, seeming a little nervous, a rare expression on her face. That phone call. She looked at me, her gaze a bit unfocused. I heard it. I interrupted, not wanting her to feel embarrassed. I looked in her eyes and said, word by word, with utmost seriousness, Senior, the truth is, I missed you too. Her body trembled slightly, her pupils dilating for a moment. From the first day I moved back to the dorm, I was thinking of you, thinking of your sofa, thinking of the food you made. Oh no, the food I made, and thinking of you. I used to think that I would probably never like someone this much again in my life. After being rejected by Su Wan, I felt like a total failure, completely ridiculous. But after meeting you, I realized it wasn't that my affection was cheap, but that I had given it to the wrong person. Every day with you, I feel so happy and grounded. Even if you don't say a word, just sitting there, I feel at ease. Lin Wei. I said her full name for the first time. I think. I've fallen for you. Not I think. It's certain, definite, and absolute. I like you. I like you a lot. So can you give me a chance to be your boyfriend? After saying it all in one breath, I felt like I was about to suffocate. I watched her nervously, awaiting the final judgment. The living room was quiet, with only the background sound of the male and female leads kissing on the TV. Lin Wei remained silent. She just looked at me like that, her eyes filled with surprise, emotion, and some other complex feelings I couldn't decipher. My heart sank little by little. Was I too impulsive? Her being nice to me. Maybe she really just saw me as a junior she got along with, or a pet that could cook. Just as I was about to say, it's okay, just forget I said anything to break the awkwardness, Lin Wei suddenly shifted closer to me. Then, she leaned in and gently touched her lips to mine. Like a feather, a brief touch, and it was gone. I was completely stunned. She kissed me? I raised my hand and touched my lips, where the soft feeling of her touch lingered. I opened my mouth, but couldn't get a single word out. Lin Wei's face was completely red, like a ripe apple. She looked down, her voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. Me too. What? I didn't hear clearly and leaned in a little closer. She looked up, mustered her courage, and repeated it a little louder this time. I said, me too. I like you too. So that boyfriend application, I approve it. Boom. In an instant, my world lit up with fireworks. Looking at her flushed cheeks and sparkling eyes, I couldn't hold back any longer. I pulled her into my arms and held her tightly. Senior, say it again. I won't. She buried her face in my chest, her voice muffled. Come on, say it again, just once more. I sounded like a child begging for candy. Chung Shi, you're so annoying. I'll annoy you for the rest of my life. Holding her, I felt like I owned the whole world. To hell with Su Wan and designer bags. My girl, She'd tell me to come home early just because I missed her. My girl, she'd give me a shy kiss after my confession and say, "I approve. This, damn it, is what love really is." The new semester began. My relationship with Lin Wei officially upgraded from lodging junior and landlord senior to boyfriend and girlfriend. How did it feel? Freaking amazing. Every morning, I no longer had to squeeze in the cafeteria to fight for steam buns because Lin Wei would buy breakfast in advance and wait to eat with me. Even though it was mostly just sandwiches and milk, taking it from her hands felt 100 times better than any meat bun from the cafeteria. We went to class together. Even though our majors were different and our buildings were far apart, we'd always walk each other to the entrance before reluctantly parting ways. Naturally, I became her exclusive bag carrier. Her backpack was always stuffed with thick, heavy textbooks. Before, seeing her carry it alone hadn't struck me as a big deal. Now, I wished I could weld her bag to mine, so she could walk empty-handed and carefree. "Ah, sure, it's fine. I can carry it myself," she'd say, a little embarrassed. No way. I'd insist seriously. How can I let my girlfriend carry her own bag? It's a matter of principle. She'd give in, unable to argue with me. But every time I took her bag, I could see the smile at the corner of her lips that she couldn't quite suppress. At noon, we'd meet at one of the cafeterias. I'd always get her favorite dishes ahead of time and wait eagerly by the window. The moment she appeared, the noisy cafeteria seemed to fade into the background. My eyes were only on her. Sitting face to face, she ate delicately, taking small bites. I quietly swapped the green peppers I didn't like with the meat I loved from her bowl. She'd glare at me, but she never really got mad. Of course, campus gossip was inevitable. "Whoa, isn't that Senior Lin Wei? Who's the guy next to her? I think his name is Chung Shi." People were saying they were close last semester. No way. Senior Lin Wei would be interested in him? He looks pretty average. What do you know? Real talent doesn't show on the surface. Anyone who can win over the Ice Queen must have something special. At first, these comments made me uncomfortable. After all, Lin Wei was dazzling, while I was just an ordinary student, nothing special. Walking beside her, I sometimes felt like a sidekick basking in reflected glory. But Lin Wei didn't care at all. Once we were walking hand in hand on campus when a few guys who knew her came toward us. Seeing our linked hands, their expressions turned shocked. One bold guy said sourly, "Senior, you're dating? Aren't you going to introduce us?" I felt nervous and instinctively tried to let go of her hand. But Lin Wei only held on tighter. She looked at the guys, her tone calm, but her words dripping with confidence. "My boyfriend, Chung Shi. I'd appreciate it if you looked out for him on campus from now on." The guys' faces turned as colorful as a palette. Standing beside her, all my insecurity and discomfort vanished instantly, replaced by pride and gratitude. My girlfriend was announcing my place in her world in her own way, protecting my dignity. With a girlfriend like this, what more could I ask for? From then on, I stopped caring about what others thought. I held her hand openly, walking through the crowded campus. I wanted everyone to know this goddess, this untouchable beauty, was now my girlfriend. Naturally, news of our sweet daily life reached certain ears. One day, as Lin Wei and I were leaving the library to get lunch, we turned a corner and ran into the last person we wanted to see. Suwon. She stood right in the middle of the path, staring straight at our clasped hands. Her face was ugly, her eyes full of jealousy and unwillingness, as if her most beloved toy had been snatched away by someone else. To be honest, seeing her again, my heart was already calm. I even found it a little ridiculous. She cast me aside like a worn-out shoe back then. And now who is she putting on this act for? I took Lin Wei's hand, wanted to walk around her. "Chung Shi." But she opened her mouth and called out to me. Her voice trembled a little, with a hint of a sob, a complete departure from the high and mighty her in my memory. I stopped, not because of her, but because I felt Lin Wei's hand holding mine tighten. I turned to look at Lin Wei. Her face was expressionless, but her eyes had turned cold. I squeezed her hand reassuringly, then looked at Suwon, my tone as flat as if I were asking for directions. "Is there something you need?" Suwon's gaze, like a knife, scraped across Lin Wei, then returned to my face, full of accusation and grievance. I didn't expect. "Chung Shi, I really didn't expect you to find someone new so quickly." I almost laughed out of anger. What does she mean? I found someone new. She makes it sound like I cheated. Classmate Suwon, please watch your words. You. And I never even started. Besides, who I'm with is my own business. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with you, does it? My words were blunt, and Suwon's face instantly turned pale. She probably didn't expect that the Changshi who used to be so obedient to her would speak to her in this tone. She bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes, looking as if she were about to cry. I just didn't expect, senpai, that your taste is so peculiar. She turned her spearhead towards Lin Wei. I heard from a friend that Changshi can't even afford a bag that costs tens of thousands. Senpai, you have such good conditions. How could you fall for him? These words are both stupid and vicious. They both belittle me and try to drive a wedge between Lin Wei and me. I was so angry I was about to curse, but Lin Wei moved before I could. She took a step forward, shielding me behind her. Even though she was half a head shorter than me, at that moment, her back was as tall as a mountain. She looked at Suwon, her eyes as cold as the Siberian current. My taste is indeed very peculiar. The person I like is sincere, kind, knows how to cook, knows how to take care of people, and would rush back from thousands of kilometers away just because of something I said. His goodness is something money can't buy. Lin Wei paused, a sarcastic curve appearing at the corner of her mouth. As for bags, I have my own hands and feet. What can I buy if I want to? Do I need to rely on a man? Even if he only gives me a $10 keychain, I would cherish it more than any limited edition bag. Because he gave it to me, the value lies in the person who gave it, not the thing itself. Unlike some people, who only have price tags in their eyes and treat relationships as transactions, they deserve to be looked down upon. Her words were spoken quickly and harshly, each word like a slap, hitting Suwon's face hard. Suwon's face went from white to red, then from red to green, and finally, she was trembling with anger. You. She UE'd for a long time, but couldn't say a complete sentence. I stood behind Lin Wei, listening to her domineering declaration, and my heart was blooming with joy. Awesome. Fucking awesome. This is my girlfriend. Badass. Lin Wei couldn't be bothered to look at her anymore, just coldly looked her up and down, her gaze like she was looking at some trash. And another thing, who do you think you are to question my boyfriend? After saying that, she directly took my hand. Hey, sure, let's go. Wasting another word on this kind of person is a waste of life. I said, okay, and happily let her lead me away. Even after walking a few steps, I could still feel that venomous gaze on my back. But I didn't care at all. I was only focused on the small, but incredibly powerful figure in front of me. There was only one thought in my mind. I've hit the jackpot. Changshi, have definitely hit the jackpot in this life. Chapter 7. Changshi, you are mine. After leaving Suwon, I was still in a state of extreme excitement. Senpai, you were so cool just now. I followed behind her like a little fanboy, chattering nonstop. Who do you think you are to question my boyfriend? Wow, that line was just amazing. So domineering. So powerful. And that line, unlike some people who only have price tags in their eyes, that was a total killer move. I bet Suwon is exploding with anger right now. I said excitedly, but then I realized that Lin Wei had been silent the whole time. She was holding my hand, walking very fast, and her grip was surprisingly strong, so much so that my wrist started to hurt. I belatedly realized that she seemed to be angry. Senior, I called out tentatively, what's wrong? She ignored me, simply pulling me along into a deserted little path. This was a small grove behind the library, a place few people usually came to. Just as I was about to ask what she was doing, she suddenly flung my hand away and pushed me against the trunk of a large tree. With a thud, my back slammed hard against the rough bark. I was stunned. The next second, Lin Wei closed in, one hand braced against the tree, trunk by my ear, the other gripping my chin, forcing me to lift my head. A classic Cave Dawn, except the one being Don Ed was me. I was completely dumbfounded. What kind of plot twist was this? Lin Wei was very close to me. So close I could see her long eyelashes and her pupils slightly contracting with anger. In her eyes, a flame I had never seen before was burning. It wasn't her usual coolness, nor the iciness she had when confronting Suwon just now, but a scorching flame filled with intense possessiveness. She wants you to have a change of heart, Lin Wei began, her voice low and deep, suppressing her fury. No, Senior, she was just... I tried to explain. Is this how you used to chase after her? She interrupted me, the hand on my chin tightening slightly, obeying her every word, coming whenever she called. I was speechless, because she was telling the truth. Seeing my silence, the fire in her eyes burned even brighter. Qingshi, look at me. Her voice held a barely perceptible tremor. Do you still have feelings for her? No. I practically shouted it. Absolutely not. Senior, I swear, all I feel for her now is disgust. The person I like is you. From beginning to end, inside and out, it's only you. I was so frantic, so afraid she would misunderstand. My reaction seemed to please her. The flame in her eyes weakened slightly, but that intense possessiveness didn't diminish in the slightest. Then remember this. She moved closer, our noses almost touching. From now on, you're not allowed to have any contact with her. Don't even say a single word. If she comes looking for you again, just treat her like a fart and let it go. Her crude yet cute metaphor made me laugh. Okay, treat her like a fart. My smile seemed to displease her. She frowned, her gaze turning dangerous. You're still laughing? I just uttered one word before she silenced the rest. She kissed me. It was completely different from the light, fleeting kiss last time. This was a punishing, fierce, and predatory kiss. It was as if she wanted to swallow me whole. Her teeth grazed my lips, a little painful, but more of an electrifying, tingling numbness. My mind went boom, and all my thoughts snapped. I was kissed until I was dizzy, only able to instinctively wrap my arms around her waist and respond to her. This kiss was filled with her insecurity, her jealousy, her anger, and her undisguised, utterly domineering possessiveness. For the first time, I learned that this seemingly cool and slender girlfriend of mine held such a scorching, aggressive energy within her body. I don't know how much time passed, so long that I thought I was about to suffocate before she finally let me go. We were both panting, our chests heaving violently. Her lips were red and slightly swollen, her eyes hazy and glistening. The sight of her made my mouth go dry. She rested her forehead against mine, her hot breath fanning across my face. Qingshi, she said, her voice hoarse, each word spoken like a vow. You are mean. In that instant, I felt as if my heart had been fiercely gripped by an invisible hand, then soaked in warm honey. It was sour, swelling, and unbearably sweet. What is a sense of security? This is it. To be claimed by the person you like in such a domineering way, stamped with their exclusive seal. This feeling was even better than winning 5 million. When I faced Suwon earlier, a shadow of humiliation still lingered in my heart. But now, that shadow had been completely dispelled by Lin Wei's fierce kiss and this domineering declaration. I looked at her, with only one thought left in my mind. This woman, I'm destined to love her. I couldn't help but start laughing, the kind of foolish from-the-heart laugh. Yes, I'm yours, I answered solemnly, cupping her face. From head to toe, even every strand of my hair is yours. She seemed satisfied with my answer, her gaze softening. That's more like it. She huffed, but the corners of her mouth couldn't help but turn up. Seeing her feign annoyance while being secretly pleased, my heart melted completely. What ice queen of the campus? She was clearly my sweet, jealous little darling. I lowered my head and took the initiative to kiss her on the lips. This time, it was gentle and lingering. Senior, I'm yours too, I whispered in her ear. In my arms, she gave a soft The light and shadows in the woods were mottled. A breeze rustled the leaves. And in my world, there was only her. During the National Day holiday, I thought it was time to bring Lin Wei home to meet my parents. Our relationship couldn't be more stable, and she had long since gone from senior to Wei Wei, or wifey, in my vocabulary. Of course, I still called her senior most of the time, especially when I wanted to be a little fresh with her. It just felt particularly thrilling. When I proposed the idea to Lin Wei, I was actually quite nervous. My family was just an ordinary working-class family, living in an old residential complex in a third-tier city. My parents were honest, simple people who had never traveled far in their lives. And Lin Wei, although she never mentioned her family background, Judging from her usual expenses and her innate air of refined elegance, her family's circumstances were certainly not bad. I was genuinely afraid she would feel uncomfortable or even look down on my home. Vi, during the National Day holiday, would you want to come home with me? I asked cautiously. She was leaning on the sofa, reading a book. Hearing me, she looked up and glanced at me. Meet the parents? Yeah. I nodded nervously. It's just, my parents have been wanting to meet you for a long time. Of course, if you don't want to go, it's okay. I'm just asking. Okay. We can wait until later. Huh? What did you say? I thought I had misheard. Lin Wei closed her book, sat up straight, and looked at me very seriously. I said, okay. When do we leave? What do I need to prepare? I was stunned for a few seconds before it registered. She agreed? She just agreed so easily? You really want to go? My home is pretty ordinary and a bit messy. I was still a little insecure. She looked at me and suddenly smiled. Cheng Shi, are you a fool? I'm going to meet your parents, not to inspect how well your house is decorated. As long as you're there, it's the same everywhere. Her words instantly filled my heart to the brim. I rushed over, wrapped her in a hug, and planted a hard kiss on her cheek. Wifey, you're the best. For the next few days, Lin Wei began to seriously prepare for meeting the parents. She looked up countless guides online, things like, what's a good gift for meeting your boyfriend's parents for the first time, and how to make a good impression on your future in-laws. Seeing her with a small notebook, jotting down notes with a serious expression, I almost burst out laughing. Was this still that cool and aloof senior Lin Wei? She was clearly just a nervous little wife-to-be. The day before we left, she dragged me around the mall for a whole day. She bought my dad a carton of high-quality cigarettes and 2 bottles of Maodai. And for my mom, she bought a set of premium skincare products and a cashmere scarf that looked very expensive. The way she spent money made my heart race. Wei, you don't have to buy such expensive things. My parents will say you're being wasteful. It's the first visit. The courtesy must be complete. Her expression was one of no room for argument. Seeing her so dedicated to matters concerning my parents warmed my heart. On the day we went home, my mom called early in the morning, her voice trembling with excitement. Son, where are you guys? Your dad and I have cleaned the whole house, and we bought all the groceries. It's all of Lin Wei's favorite food. Oh wait, it's your favorite food. I don't know what Lin Wei likes to eat. Listening to my mom's rambling on the phone, I felt both amused and touched. When we arrived downstairs at my building, I looked at the familiar, somewhat dilapidated corridor and confirmed with Lin Wei one last time. Wifey, it's not too late to back out now. Lin Wei shot me a look, straightened her clothes and hair, then took a deep breath and nodded at me. Let's go. I opened the door. My parents were sitting bolt upright on the sofa, as nervous as if they were about to be interviewed. Seeing us enter, my mom shot up from her seat, her face wreathed in an enthusiastic smile. Oh, you must be Lin Wei. Come in. You must be exhausted from the trip, right? Hello, uncle. Hello, auntie. Lin Wei greeted them obediently, then handed over the gift she was holding. It's my first time visiting. I wasn't sure what you'd like, so I just bought a few things. Oh my, you're here. You didn't have to bring anything. You're being too polite. Though my mom said this, her eyes were smiling so much they narrowed to a line, and she deftly took the gifts. My dad stood up too and gave Lin Wei an honest, simple smile. Please sit down. The scene that followed was much more harmonious than I had imagined. Lin Wei showed none of her usual cool and aloof demeanor. Throughout the entire visit, she was poised and proper, well-behaved and sensible. Whatever my mom asked, she answered, neither servile nor overbearing, her tone gentle. My mom asked where her family was from and what her parents did for a living. She said she was a local and her parents were university professors. Upon hearing this, my mom's eyes lit up. Oh, a family of scholars. No wonder our Lin Wei has such a wonderful air about her. Beside me, my dad kept giving me meaningful looks as if to say, you brat, not bad. You found a real treasure. I raised my eyebrows at him smugly. During the meal, my mom continuously put food into Lin Wei's bowl, piling it high like a small mountain. Lin Wei, eat more. Look at you, child. You're too thin. Thank you, Auntie. That's more than enough. Lin Wei was a bit overwhelmed by my mom's enthusiasm. I quickly moved the pork ribs from my bowl to hers. Honey, eat this. My mom's sweet and sour pork ribs are to die for. Ahem. My dad across the table coughed loudly. Only then did I realize I'd called her honey in front of my parents. Lin Wei's face flushed crimson in an instant. She lowered her head, not daring to look at my parents. My mom, however, was grinning from ear to ear. What's this honey business? You're not married yet. But it'll be soon, yes, very soon. The meal was a cheerful and harmonious affair. That evening, my mom pulled me aside and asked mysteriously, "Son, tell me the truth. You and Lin Wei, how far have things progressed?" "Mom, why are you asking this?" "I'm asking about the sleeping arrangements for tonight. We only have 2 bedrooms. Your dad and I will take one, which leaves the other one. Are you 2 sleeping together, or are you sleeping on the sofa?" My face reddened. Although Lin Wei and I were already living together, I was still a bit too embarrassed to admit it in front of my mom. I'll sleep on the sofa." But my mom slapped me on the back. "What do you mean, sleep on the sofa? Making a young lady sleep by herself? What would people think? You've been dating for so long. What's wrong with sleeping together? Hurry up, go tidy up that room. You 2 will sleep in there." My mom's open-mindedness left me dumbfounded. That night, I lay on the bed I had slept in since I was a child, with Lin Wei lying beside me. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. My mom is just like that. She's rather progressive," I explained in a low voice. Lin Wei hummed in acknowledgement in the darkness. After a moment, she suddenly turned over to face me. "Ashy, your parents. They seem to like me." There was a hint of uncertainty in her voice. "It's not seem to. They absolutely love you," I laughed. "My mom was just telling me to hurry up and marry you. She's afraid you'll run away." In the darkness, I couldn't see her expression, but I could feel her breath hitch for a moment. Then, she paused and asked in a small voice, "Do you want to?" "Of course," I answered without a second thought. "I dream about it. I wish we could go get the license right now." She chuckled at my words and gently punched my arm. "You're not being serious." "I'm being very serious." I took her hand and placed it on my chest. "Lin Wei, let's get married as soon as we graduate, okay?" She didn't answer right away. After a while, in a voice that was barely audible, she responded, "Okay." I was so happy I almost leaped out of bed. I held her tightly in my arms, feeling like I had reached the pinnacle of my life. Family and love, the double harvest. What did I, Chung Shi, ever do to deserve this? The National Day holiday ended, and Lin Wei and I returned to school. Life resumed its usual sweet and calm rhythm. I thought the incident with Su Wan was a chapter completely closed. I never expected that some people just can't learn to behave themselves. This particular afternoon, I had just come out of the lecture hall, preparing to meet up with Lin Wei. A figure suddenly rushed out from the side, blocking my path. It was Su Wan again. Today, she looked different from her previous arrogance and her even earlier tearful accusations. She had light makeup on, wore a white dress, and her hair was neatly styled. She looked pitiful and endearing, the same pure and innocent look she had when I first fell for her. "Chung Shi, can we talk?" she began, her voice and posture both very subdued. I frowned, remembering Lin Wei's words. Treat her like a fart and just let it go. I didn't want to say a single word to her. I moved to walk around her. "Chung Shi." She grew anxious and grabbed my arm. "Just a few minutes, I'm begging you." She was surprisingly strong, and for a moment, I couldn't break free. "Let go." My voice turned cold. "I won't." Her eyes reddened, tears welling up instantly. "Chung Shi, I know I was wrong before. I was blinded by vanity. I said a lot of things that hurt you, and I'm sorry. Can't I just apologize to you? I really know I was wrong. These past few months, I've been thinking about you every day, thinking about how good you were to me. I've only just realized that you were in my heart all along. I just didn't see it myself." She cried as she spoke, her performance a masterpiece of heartfelt sincerity. Passersby had already started to point and whisper. A wave of annoyance washed over me. What was this? A classic melodrama of tears, tantrums, and threats? The old, foolish me might have softened at the sight of a girl crying like this, might have been at a loss. But now my heart, already filled to the brim by that little vinegar jar, Lin Wei, was as hard as iron. I looked at her, my heart unstirred. I even found it slightly amusing. "Su Wan, What kind of act are you putting on now? She froze, likely not expecting this kind of reaction from me. I'm not acting. I'm being sincere, she retorted urgently. Sure, believe me, I truly regret it. Can we start over? I don't want any designer bags. I don't want anything. I just want you. As she spoke, she even tried to lean into my arms. Disgusted, I took a step back and forcefully shook her hand off. Suwon, do you think everyone is as stupid as you are? My voice wasn't loud, but it was cold. Cut your cheap act. It makes me sick. You say you regret it because you see me with Lin Wei now. You're jealous. You're resentful. You don't regret hurting me. You only regret not holding on to this long-term meal ticket, especially after you discovered this meal ticket seems to have increased in value. It's not me, Sure, that you like. What you like is the tool who is at your beck and call, who could satisfy your vanity. Now that the tool is no longer under your control, of course you can't get used to it. My words, like a sharp knife, peeled away all her feigned affection and remorse, revealing the selfish, ugly core beneath. The color drained from Suwon's face in an instant. She probably never imagined I could see through her so completely. I'm not. Her lips trembled as she tried to argue, but she couldn't find a single reason. Enough. I didn't want to waste any more time on her. Suwon, I'll tell you one last time. It was over between us a long time ago. Or perhaps it never even began. I have a girlfriend now. I love her very much, and she is wonderful. There is no longer a place for you in my life. Chasing after you before was me being blind. But thankfully, you cured my blindness with a $10,000 bag. From that perspective, I should probably thank you. You taught me what kind of person is actually worth my love. Looking at her pale face, I felt no pleasure, only a sense of calm, of dust settling. So, stop bothering me. Take care of yourself. With that, I turned and walked away. After a few steps, I saw Lin Wei standing under a tree not far away. I don't know when she arrived or how much she heard. She just stood there quietly, looking at me. The sunlight dappled through the leaves onto her, making her look like an ethereal fairy, untouched by the mortal world. My heart tightened, and I quickened my pace towards her. Wei Wei. She didn't speak, but simply held out her hand to me. I understood immediately and placed my hand in her palm, letting her grasp it tightly. Her hand was a little cold. I clasped it back, warming it with my own. You heard all that? I asked. She nodded. It's nothing, just a crazy person. Let's go. I pulled her, wanting to leave this place of conflict. We turned, brushing past Suwon, who was still frozen in place. From beginning to end, Lin Wei didn't spare Su one a single glance. In her eyes, Suwon was perhaps truly just an insignificant, irrelevant fart. This complete disregard was far more lethal than any heated argument or sarcastic remark. I could feel Suwon's desperate, venomous gaze following us. But I didn't look back. I just held my girlfriend's hand, step by step, firmly, walking towards the future that belonged to us. Suwon, the greatest calamity of my adolescence, had finally, in the most definitive way, come to a close. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. We had both graduated from university. I joined a decent internet company, becoming a diligent programmer. Lin Wei was more impressive. She was recommended for postgraduate studies at our university and continued to delve deeper into the field of computer science. We rented a small but cozy apartment near the campus, officially starting our life together. On the day of the graduation ceremony, in front of the entire school, I proposed to her. I knelt on one knee, holding the ring I bought with my first internship salary, my hands trembling with nerves. Lin Wei, will you marry me? She looked at me, her eyes sparkling as if filled with starlight. Amid the roaring chants of "marry him" from the crowd around us, she didn't say a word. Instead, she reached out, pulled me up from the ground, my eyes already red, and kissed me. That kiss was the most affirmative answer I've ever received in my life. We got our marriage certificate. Lin Wei officially became my Mrs. Chung. The title wife was finally something I could call out openly and rightfully. Married life was both as I imagined and a little different. What I imagined was sweet, but reality was overwhelmingly sweet. Every morning, I would wake up half an hour earlier than her to make breakfast. Her cooking skills, after all these years, hadn't improved much, limited to just making things edible. Once, when I came home late from overtime work, she was inspired to make me a bowl of noodles. The noodles were so clumped together, they could have been used as bricks. As I ate, tears of emotion streamed down my face. She looked at me expectantly and asked, "Is it good?" What could I do? I could only nod vigorously through my tears, saying, "Delicious. Anything my wife makes is the best noodles in the world." After that, I never dared to let her into the kitchen again. At night, no matter how late I returned from overtime, there was always a light left on in the living room for me. She would curl up on the sofa waiting for me, sometimes falling asleep while waiting. I would carry her back to the room and tuck her in. But often, in the middle of the night, she would still sleepwalk to my side, wrapping herself around me like a kitten, arms and legs clinging, mumbling hug in her sleep. After all these years, her sleepwalking habit hadn't changed. I had grown accustomed to it, even enjoying it a little. Who wouldn't want the blessing of holding a fragrant, soft wife to sleep every night? She still asked me to blow-dry her hair. Every time after a shower, she would sit in front of me with wet hair and hand me the hairdryer. "Husband, dry my hair." She would close her eyes, enjoying my service. I loved this moment, watching her smooth, long hair flow through my fingers, smelling her lovely scent. It felt as if all the fatigue of the day vanished in a thin air. She was no longer the aloof senior she once was. In front of me, she would act coy, playfully stubborn, and even get jealous if I glanced at a passing beauty, ignoring me for a whole day until I coaxed her back. She would wander around the house in my oversized t-shirts. She would cry buckets during sad movies, using my clothes as tissues. She would hug me from behind while I played games, resting her chin on my shoulder and watching quietly. Sometimes, looking at her, I found it hard to believe. Was this really Lin Wei, the icy goddess who once made every guy in school hesitate to approach her? That evening, I was blow-drying her hair again. The hairdryer hummed softly. Looking in the mirror, I saw her leaning comfortably against me and couldn't help but smile. "Wife, do you remember the first time we met?" She responded lazily. "It was raining heavily that night. I had just been dumped by Sue Wan and was drenched like a drowned rat when I bumped into you." "Yeah, I remember," she said. "You looked so pitiful back then, like a little dog abandoned by its owner." "Me? Was that any way to describe her own husband? Then why did you take me home that day?" This was something I had always been curious about. She fell silent for a moment. "Because," she said, a little embarrassed, "I recognized you." "Huh?" I was stunned. "You knew me?" "Yeah." During the freshman orientation, there was a junior who helped an old lady who had tripped over her suitcase, picking up the oranges that had scattered all over the ground one by one. He even escorted the old lady across the street. I tried hard to recall, and there really was such an incident. I had just started university then, full of passion, wanting to help whenever I saw injustice. "That underclassman was you," she said. "The way you picked up the oranges that day was a little silly, but very handsome." My heart skipped a beat. So, she had noticed me that long ago? So, when I saw you in the rain that night, I thought, this kind little puppy can't be left in the rain. I turned off the hairdryer and hugged her tightly from behind. I buried my face in the crook of her neck and took a deep breath. It was all her scent. "Lin Wei. I love you so much." She smiled, turned around, and hugged me back. "I know. You have no idea. Back at school, everyone said you were the aloof school beauty, the ice queen, to be admired from a distance but not touched." I looked at her, my eyes full of amusement. "They don't know that when you're drunk, you'll hug me and yell cuddle, that you'll tell me to come home early because I'm homesick, that you'll get jealous if someone looks at me for a second too long, that you'll domineeringly pin me against a tree and declare that I'm yours." I squeezed her cheek, my eyes full of doting affection. What aloof school beauty. That's clearly my sweet wife. She got a little shy for my praise, her cheeks flushing red, and buried her head in my chest, murmuring softly, "You talk too much." I held her, feeling like I possessed all the treasures in the world. Outside the window, the moonlight was gentle, and in my arms was something gentler than the moonlight, the love of my life.